Welcome back to another NomNom Verse update. Okay, guys, so today we have a couple of different topics for y'all. We have one, they finally revealed the final Kickstarter print run numbers, which I'm going to share with you guys shortly. They also mentioned what they're going to be doing with that extra product and what to kind of expect. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and knock this out. One, thank you guys for pre-ordering for me. I do have a shipping update for you guys. I should be receiving this by Monday, April 7th. So for everybody who pre-ordered from me, thank you so much. I'm so sorry for the delay. It looks like my product or my fulfillment, my shipment was one of the last ones that got shipped out when they started shipping out these to backers. And it's more than likely because it was one of the bigger ones. I did get one of the LGS tiers. So I have 3 cases worth of booster boxes coming. I have a whole case of blisters. I got, starter decks coming. I have a huge amount of stuff coming, which is probably why it's running a little behind schedule. So thank you guys for bearing with me. I will be out of town April 7th and 8th. So on April 9th, that evening, you should receive your shipping notifications, okay? So basically, once I get back in town, dude, the rest of that day, if I have to stay up till midnight to get this fulfilled, I'm gonna get it done. So just kind of, be patient with me a little bit longer. I know everybody's opening up their product and you guys are excited, and so am I. But again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for choosing to pre-order through me. And for those of you guys who are on the fence, or if you're wanting to pick up some product, I do have a few stuff left. I think I have like 6 or 7 booster boxes. I may have some blisters. I haven't checked my inventory for those, but my website is down below if you're interested in that. So let's get on with the actual Kickstarter update video. All right, so without further ado, here is the Kickstarter numbers. So for Kickstarter booster boxes, we have a total of 3,000 boxes that were produced. Obviously, this number is not what was actually pledged. This includes like the minimum print order that they needed for the printer, as well as, for damaged product, for giveaways, for convention appearances, and of course for their direct-to-consumer sales, which are coming. So 3,000 booster boxes total. That's what they got. That's all there is for Kickstarter product, or for Kickstarter booster boxes. So in terms of starter decks, we got a total of 2,000 that were printed. I did verify, this is 1,000 of the Amo starter deck and 1,000 of the Ralph starter decks. Followed by that is, of course, the very, very popular blister pack. So 5,000 of the blister packs were produced. Now, if you guys remember, you can pull 1 of 4 promos in these these blister packs. Sorry, can't talk. Each one has a unique promo, and I don't know if one promo is more rare than the others. It sounds like it could be, because there's 5,000 of those. But aside from that, we got 500 builder kits that were printed. Now, the builder kits, for those of you guys who are not aware, they are basically like their version of the Pokemon ETB. It's kind of like this rectangular box. It comes with both of the starter decks, as well as a Duke of the Wild promo, and you get, I believe, 6 booster packs inside this box. So only 500 of those were actually printed. And then the final Kickstarter product is the Game Ghost pack. So these were like the packs that they added on near the end of the promotion of the campaign or whatever. So only 2,100 of those were printed. So that is what the product looks like. It's very, again, very, very small amount. Obviously, I would expect their next set, Dino Horizons, to be similar in size to this, because they are still starting out. They haven't gotten the player base where it needs to be. It's still new. We just got it in hand. So I expect to hear more of Dino Horizons within the next couple of months. I would assume that we can expect maybe a summer, late summer, early fall release for Dino Horizons. I know that their plan was to make 2 sets a year, if I'm not mistaken, followed by smaller ancillary product in between the major releases. So we'll see how that goes. But that's kind of what the print run's looking like in terms of what they plan to do with this excess product. So they will be actually posting product at MSRP on the World of NomNom website. Now, what is MSRP, you may ask? So MSRP is looking to be the same cost as the Kickstarter. So for example, a booster box, a single booster box pledge was $120. Now, that is the pricing that they're going to be basing it off of. So 120 for the Kickstarter booster box. I think it was like $7 for a blister. So they're going to be following, it seems like they're going to be following the Kickstarter pricing model. However, there may be a caveat to that in future releases. Now, I don't know if you may not remember this because I made this video so long ago, but there were talks about what to price this product in like months before release, because they knew they were gonna have excess product. That was the plan all along. And so we were all kind of discussing and talking about like, hey, you don't really want to undercut the value of the Kickstarter product itself, because then people would feel some type of way. You know, like if I would have backed one booster box for 120 and then I see that the company releases them at $100 after the Kickstarter fulfillment, it would leave a bad taste in my mouth, right? Now you can, now the flip side to this, of course, is for that 120 pledge, you actually received a free beta starter deck, as well as a free Duke of the Wild promo just for backing the project. Now, that is added value, right? That does cover the extra $20 if they would have done the $100 pricing. And the reason that this came up is because when they switched printers, okay, the new printer that's based overseas is actually cheaper to produce with them than it was with the United States printer, and it seemed like it was by quite a bit. So my assumption is this Kickstarter product will stay at the Kickstarter pricing that we got during the campaign. Future releases like Dino Horizons and whatever other future releases they have will more than likely be cheaper than the Kickstarter product. I would expect Dino Horizons to have an MSRP of $100, especially if the cost savings compared to Rex 3 are that significant. It would make sense that they want to lower that barrier of entry for new players, for new fans, to be able to get the product in as cheaply as possible, right? So that's my opinion. This isn't confirmed. This isn't, none of that, but it's smart that they're keeping the Kickstarter product in line with the Kickstarter pricing, okay, rather than cutting that, even though there were cost savings, because at the same time they did add a lot of extra stuff to the pledge that we got, like the promos and all that good stuff, and the beta decks and all that cool stuff. So that's cool. They're keeping the Kickstarter product at Kickstarter pricing on their website. We haven't really received a timeline of when they're going to put it up for sale, but it should be here pretty soon. And so, long story short, you guys can expect to see their product on their website sometime soon. In terms of things that I would like to see for future releases, one, I hope to see the box price and prices in general come down a little bit post Kickstarter, because as they mentioned to us in the past, their cost basis for this product actually reduced when they changed printers. So what I'm hoping to see is for Dino Horizons, we see a booster box price of $100 MSRP. That would be, I think, ideal, because I think $100 is kind of that sweet spot where people are willing to spend money on to try out a new game. I'm hoping to see blisters come down from like $7 a blister down to like maybe $5 or $6 a blister, and just overall lowering prices a little bit compared to the Kickstarter product, because of those savings that they are now receiving by going through that overseas printer. Some cool things that they can do to incentivize various purchases from customers and fans. I would recommend they do some sort of LGS promo like we've seen with certain, with other TCGs. Obviously, MetaZoo took it a huge step forward, and they had like stamped, LGS promos. I don't think they need that. It complicates fulfillment way too much. If anything, they should have an LGS promo that they give out to retailers for them to include in their orders, as well as their own exclusive promo that you can get, when you purchase product directly from them. Kind of how we see Pokemon do, like their Pokemon exclusive ETBs and all that stuff. That is probably the smart way to go about it, to where you're not undercutting or taking business away from LGSs too much, but you're also being able to take almost like a piece of the direct to consumer pie, so that, because obviously when a company sells through distribution, they're giving distributors a pretty big discount, right? And then distributors tack on what their fee is per product, and then they sell to retailers like me for a certain amount, right? And then at that point, it is recommended that we sell it at MSRP. So I think that's the best way to go about it. Have LGS promos, have World of NomNom promos specifically for people to purchase from LGSs as well as purchase from them directly. That way everybody's happy, everybody's winning. And then of course fans get 2 cool promos to show off. A very good example of this actually working would be, for example, Illustrals. Illustrals has LGS promos that they hand out to all people who pre-order, product or distribution. Those LGS promos are then given out to orders above like $50 for the most part. And then on top of that, Illustrals have their own shop Illustrals exclusives when you pay or when you spend $50 or more during those release windows, right? So I think it's a smart way to capitalize on that. One thing that I think would be a cool thing to do is something similar to Shattered Stars. Shattered Stars, for those who don't know, is like an Illustrals subscription service. Okay, it's huge success, by the way. I think it's a huge success. Essentially, you get people to drop call it $10, $15 a month. They get a few packs in the mail every month. And obviously, every month is a different theme with different promos that you can get. Now, the way Illustrals has done this and capitalized on this is rather than creating like exclusive, like super playable cards that you can only receive if you're subscribed to this, what they're actually doing is, yes, the cards are playable, they're just alternate arts. So like the players don't actually need them to play the game, but if you're trying to bling out your deck, obviously the option is there. The other way they're doing it is rather than making exclusive art for like sought after cards, they're making it with like their spirits, their resource pool. And so it's been very successful for them from what I've gathered. They've included, serialized cards in there, which is always a really fun chase. And so something along the lines like this, to where every month you have people talking about your product, would go a huge, long way in my opinion. Now, I don't know what the logistics of something like this is like. Obviously, with Illustrals, they do printing overseas, so I would assume they have this, they have this kind of down at this point. From my understanding, they were working on Shattered Stars for like a year before they started revealing that to people. So if this is something that NomNom Verse can do, I think that's a really good and smart way to have recurring revenue for the company, as well as, your fans are constantly getting cool new monthly releases. That is like, for example, you can get 1 pixel holo per pack, and it could be just a certain assortment of cards, and then you have the actual holo cards that you get. It's very, if they look at the Illustral Shattered Stars subscription, I think that they can absolutely do something cool with that, especially with their pixel holos, man. Those things are dope. So I don't think they're going to do something like that, but if they do, and if they were, I think that's a good option, not just for them, but for a lot of, TCGs. I feel like I honestly, in my opinion, I think Illustrals really did manage to capitalize on a good subscription service. Like 3 packs a month delivered to your door for $15 plus shipping. And you can pull some really, really awesome cards, and those cards have really good value in the secondary market. Like if NomNom Verse and even other TCGs, if they can start implementing something like this, 1, it's a great revenue generator on a month-to-month term, and 2, you always have people talking about your product every single month. You don't have that, where you release a product and then you go 3 months with nothing in between. That I think is very beneficial for new TCGs to capitalize on, but we'll see how that works. But that's all I got for you guys for this update. Obviously, I've been looking at the secondary market as well. It's very healthy. Granted, it's only 1 week since people have started to receive the product in, so we'll see how that goes. But so far, there is arbitrage from the looks of it. You can buy a booster for about $100 on the secondary market. That booster box has at least the same amount of value in singles, if not more. We've seen phenomenal rares, which you can get 1 per box, selling for about $50 to over $100, depending on which one you pull. And we've seen astronomical rares selling for about $150 to $225, again, dependent on which one you pull. So, and the pull rates aren't too bad. You get 1 astronomical, roughly 1 in 3 booster boxes. You get 1 guaranteed phenomenal rare per box. And then of course, if you get a box with an astronomical rare, you're also guaranteed to get that 1 phenomenal rare. So lots of cool stuff to pull in these booster boxes. People are hyped, people are happy. Their Discord has started to gain a couple more people in there. I want to say for a minute there, it just kept losing. But now I think I saw like a couple more people join the Discord. So hopefully that growth continues. I know 2 or 3 people isn't much, but that's how you start a community. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you haven't looked at the cards yet, I recommend you take a look at them. The quality is completely different than what they were before. So give it a chance. Look at the cards online. Look at what they're selling for. Look at the Pixel Hollows, dude. The Pixel Hollows look absolutely sick. And of course, once I receive my product in, I will absolutely be making a box opening video, not just of the booster box, but of course of every single product in that Kickstarter. So thank you guys again. See y'all soon.